1.
The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And A.J. Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, my co-host, A.J. Applegarth. What's up, man?
Not too much. Ready to get going. Celebrate some opening day action. Got
Absolutely, man.
Hashtag opening day over here.
Yeah, it feels weird to say that in July, but here we are. Baseball is back. We're in a rain delay. Yankees Nationals. Yankees are up 4-1. Stanton hit a mammoth of a home run, apparently. I missed it. I haven't seen the replay yet, but I know Scherzer has 10 strikeouts already, but he's let up a bunch of runs already, so it is what it is. But so other baseball news. Nationals also. Juan Soto tested positive for COVID. So that's fun, right on opening day, right after, these tests come back like a couple days after they got tested. So he's been playing the last couple days with this in his system. So that's not a good way to start off. It's going to be interesting to see how many other players come back and test positive. Hopefully it's none. I'm not counting on that happening, though. I don't know. It's pretty brutal for people who drafted him first round in most leagues. So it's a tough blow. But more importantly, just hopefully everybody's healthy and they can get this, nipped in the bud before it gets really bad. Other news, the ex-Washington Redskins are now the Washington football team. Oh yeah. No idea what they're doing. You guys are how much money, and this is what you came up with? You got nothing. Great.
Yeah, we're the temporarily unknowns. We'll get back to you.
Somebody posted on Twitter. Come on. They did like the shot, like the CGI version of the new jerseys and stuff, right? And they use like a standard stadium looking background. Like they have the guy standing in the middle of a stadium. They zoomed in like at his ankles so that you could see behind. They left like the soccer goal in the shot of the stadium. Like you couldn't even take out the soccer goal. It's so bad. Like, good job, Washington. Oh, that's why I'm just done with this team. Anyway,
Niter at his finest.
Yes, pretty much. All right, well, let's do our beer of the week. We got a big show ahead, so let's just get moving here. We got
Beer.
close enough. So I'll start here. I got a Cushwa Brewing Company. It's called Down to Clown. I was going to drink something different, but we had some interesting testing issues, audio issues before the show, so stepped it up a notch. Down to cloud, because that's what our setup is like right now. So that's what it feels like.
It is. I feel like our internet, server is a clone car, and we're just continually jumping in and out of it. So I myself am drinking a 6 Point Brewery Cosmic Handshake. It's a sour New England style double IPA 9%er. I believe it's actually a collaboration here with 6 Point and Victory Brewing, my hometown beer. So I found this in the back of the fridge and forgot I bought them. So we'll see how it goes.
When you have too much beer. Anyway. All right. So like I said, we've got a pretty big show tonight. We're going to be talking NFC North. And our guest tonight is from Fantasy Alarm. None other than Howard Bender himself. You there, man?
What's going on, guys, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Absolutely.
on. Glad to have you back. I know we had you on for one of our baseball preview shows earlier in the year, back before baseball got canceled or postponed, whatever. So yeah, I saw you made a comment on Twitter about the Washington football team. What do you? What's your thoughts on
I
it?
mean, come on, right?
I know.
Fulfilling the dreams of so many kids who were like, man, when I grow up, I want to play for the Washington football team. That's gonna be amazing. I mean, like, what's up with the think tank in Washington? You know, it's not like it's a new issue. Like, this is something they've talked about for years of getting rid of the name Redskins. So, you know, in all those years, I get it. I mean, you don't want to change the name, but certainly somebody in that hierarchy was actually like doing some work and digging in, looking for some other team names rather than just, you know, copping a feel all day.
Yeah, it's a strange one indeed.
It sounds like it's like, all right, which one of these things can we come up with that asshole lawyer did not go ahead and put a patent on yet? Temporary team. Okay, good. Let's use that.
Placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The other thing that gets me is, right, so they're saying it's temporary, but they're going to sell merchandise. So you could own Washington football team merchandise. Ooh, who's excited?
Nobody, right? We're record unemployment rate going in the country right now. And what are we going to try and do? We're going to try and make an extra buck off of the people in the DC area who are going to be stupid enough to pay for this merchandise. Like, I mean, it's terrible. It's bad news. It's bad form. I mean, you know, eventually you hope that they're going to clean things up over there, but as it stands right now, this is just not a team anybody wants to deal with.
Nope.
Well,
and
it's
you
like,
probably
hey,
don't remember, but I had Redskins stuff behind me. It is all poof gone. I'm disassociating myself with this train wreck of a team. I just can't do it anymore.
it's almost like the old commercials where they're like, well, we can't put an actual team, so we're going to put Tech versus State. All right. And then, that's what we're looking at here.
Nice.
They should have just done that. They should have been like Washington Tech or something and just made even more of a mockery than it already is out of it.
Who knows? All right. Well, let's get on with more positive talk here. The NFC North. So Howard, how we do this is we go down position by position. I'll run down some ADP numbers, and then we'll get into some questions about the position. But first, we have a hot topic question, just kind of general football question about the division. And the one we got for this is, Green Bay, pretty much breezed to a division title this past year, finishing 13-3. They took the number 2 seed. A lot of people don't really think they were that good, that their schedule really helped them out. Now this year they've got a bit of a tougher schedule, it looks like. I mean, where do you see Green Bay finishing this year, knowing all that?
It's kind of tough. I mean, I think that I definitely think they overachieved. You saw a lot. I mean, we can talk about, everything from, the touchdown total to people buying into Aaron Rodgers is, now suddenly a disciple of Matt LaFleur's, like that kind of thing. I mean, I think the team overall regresses. I think that Green Bay definitely caught a couple of breaks, winning a couple of games and padding that record. But I think, Minnesota, rock solid team with a great ground game. The Bears hopefully go to Foles, and that turns into, making the Bears a tougher team. And then all of a sudden, so Green Bay doesn't have all the gimmies. They don't have all those easy wins on their schedule. Maybe Detroit does something. Who knows?
Yeah, I put this one in here just because, I mean, frankly, I was kind of pissed off that Green Bay finished 13-3 and got the 2 seed. And it's not that I'm a Green Bay hater or anything. I just didn't think that they were anywhere near that good. Aaron Jones carried that team, in my opinion, offensively. Rodgers was okay. He wasn't blow out of the water, but he wasn't terrible either. But just doing some little research here and looking, I mean, they had 3 games against opponents who finished 8-8, 500, and two of those teams were, or two of those games were Chicago, and then they only had 5 other games where they played teams that were above 500, and 2 of those were Minnesota. Then you got Philly, Kansas City, and San Fran, and all of those teams, 5 of those games, that's the only playoff teams they faced. So, and they fared well. They beat Minnesota both games. They lost to Philly and lost to San Fran, but then beat Kansas City. So this year, because of their schedule changing, now they're going to face 6 playoff teams. They have, a combined record of 514 as opposed to the teams finishing at 452. So, they still only have Chicago as the only 8-8, at 500, but now they've got 7 games against above 500. So it's definitely a tougher schedule. And that's to be expected when you finish first in your division, then you get to play everybody else who's first in the division. So I don't know. I definitely think they're going to kind of come back to reality. They'll probably still win the division, I think, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was last year.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. So I don't really have anything else to add. But so let's just jump into the quarterbacks here. ADP numbers. We're grabbing these from Fantasy Pros. So they do the mix of all the different sites here. So Aaron Rodgers at 10, Stafford at 13, Kirk Cousins at 21. And then we got the combo of Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky at 33 and 35. So basically not drafted. So start off here with Rodgers. More Packers talk here. He finished QB 14 last year if you go by points per game. It's going 10. I wonder if at this point people are just drafting him because of the name and it's a mistake. Like, what do you think there?
Listen, I think he's definitely, he's on the downside of a career right now. He's in an offense where they want to be run first. And they want to, take some of the, power off of Rodgers' hands. How are you going to feel if you're Aaron Rodgers this year? And they've drafted Jordan Love, and there's rumors that they're talking about Love playing some sort of a Taysom Hill kind of role over there. So, is Rodgers a guy I'm like craving who I want? No. But listen, if he's pissed off and he's feels like he's got something to prove, that he's got more left in the tank, and basically wants to do to Jordan Love what Brett Favre did to him, that's what Rodgers going to do. Again, not a target, but I'll take him after, somebody like Breeze is already off the board, and I'm, kind of sifting through the late, back end of the top 12.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm not really targeting him. He's kind of one of those like, well, I guess he's who's left out of those top guys.
Exactly. That's kind of how I look at him as well.
And they gave him no weapons either, which is, it's crazy. They're talking about, different things that they want to do in that offensive scheme, but, still what it comes down to is they didn't add anything or add enough for him to do anything. Devin Funchess, no. That's terrible. So, really, does it up Rodgers' value? No, absolutely not. So you have to take that into consideration too.
Yeah, there's other guys that are sitting just behind him who have possibly higher ceilings. That like if you want to go there, that might be the way to go. You just kind of pass on Rodgers and just let somebody else. I've owned him one of these last couple of years, and he's pretty average. There's just nothing else to say about it. He has like 1 or 2 massive games every year, it feels like. And everybody's like, oh, look, there he is. And then it blows his final numbers. But if you go like per game in consistency basis, it's not great. So
nope. I'm letting him fall in with someone else. Again, nothing against him. Not that I'm a hater or anything. I just don't really care to own him this year and beyond. So, all right. So the next guy we got here is Mr. Matthew Stafford. So this guy's on pace for 5,000 yards last season, and then he gets injured. Why is he not being drafted earlier?
Because I think you have to really be careful when you're talking about on pace numbers. Yeah, he was definitely on pace for, 5,000 yards and, what was it, like 39 touchdowns or something ridiculous like that. I mean, look at what Matt Stafford's numbers have been over the years, and all of a sudden, it turns out like this. No, I mean, you have to, accept the fact that there are going to be different situations. Listen, if his back held up, we don't know, but his back didn't hold up. And then that adds to a question mark for this year. Are you one of those people who automatically says that, I got to prorate his numbers to 16 games and he's going to be phenomenal? He's QB3 all of a sudden. Or do you understand that, okay, so bum back last year, something could happen this year. You just don't know. Defensive schemes work differently against you or whatever it is that you're trying to, accomplish with the team. Are they trying to do more ground game? They never, follow through with that. It always seems like they abandon the run way too early. So maybe this is the year that they sort of try that. They drafted DeAndre Swift. So you kind of have to feel like prorating his numbers to what could have been is probably not the best move for this year. And that puts him then, to me, on the back end of the top 10, top 12 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The funny thing with the running game, and like you said, they just abandon it. It's like, all right, well, there's 13 minutes left in the first quarter. They're down 3-0. We got to throw. Sorry, guys. All right, forget running the ball. Throw or punt. But, the one thing that does work in their benefit, I think, this year is, again, with them finishing out at only 3-12 last year, they have the opposite of the Packers, and they're going to play all the bottom of the barrel teams, throughout the other conferences in the NFC. So that could help them a little bit. And Stafford did play 8 games, so it's not like, for some reason, it just seems like he played less than that. But he played half the damn season, so we'll see what he does this year. Hopefully he's really good, because I own him in a couple of leagues, including Fishbowl.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that, like, if I want to wait on QB, he's definitely one of my targets, because I think the upside's there. He's got two good receiver targets, an up and coming tight end, pass catching back in Swift, and hopefully that just means good things for Stafford all around. But moving on here, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings. They lost Stephon Diggs, which is huge. They brought in Jefferson. They've got Thielen still and those tight ends. I mean, still though, Cousins just feels like a guy. Like, is he nothing more than a streamable QB at this point?
Yeah, that's pretty much where you're at with Kirk Cousins. When you're like sitting there in a super flex league and you realize that, you only have one QB on your roster and suddenly you just missed the run. And then you're like, oh, well, all right, I'll just grab Kirk Cousins here because I know he's going to play. He's not going to dazzle you with anything. He's serviceable. It's a run first scheme there in Minnesota. Everything's going to go through Dalvin Cook. That's what Gary Kubiak does. It's what Rick Dennison and him, have been striving for their entire career. They do it everywhere they go together. So with such a heavy ground game, I don't think it was that much of a priority to, hold on to Stephon Diggs. You got a little cantankerous last year and yipping about his targets and things like that. And so, give it to Cousins, let Thielen ground game. You got a rookie here who can, at least take care of some of the vertical work that you're going to need in Jefferson. And then you kind of leave it at that. But I mean, with Kirk Cousins, you're basically, you're hoping to get 250 and 2 and, accept one interception. But, anything beyond that, you're like, wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a safe quarterback at this point. So not much else to say there, I think.
Yeah. All right. So next, last team we got here is the dual threat of BDN and Mitch, whatever you want to call him, wasted number 2 draft pick. So if you're forced to choose a quarterback in a 2 quarterback or super flex, which one do you want to own from Chicago? I think you kind of already alluded to it, but
yeah, give me Nick Foles. Yeah, he's the guy who's supposed to be under center. I mean, they went and they made the excuse me, made the change at quarterback coach, brought in DiFilippo, who has experience working with Nick Foles. They have a relationship together. So obviously, Matt Nagy's on the hot seat. I mean, he came in, they got that 12-win season to start, and then they just crapped the bed the following season, even with some better personnel on defense. Obviously you lose a guy like Fangio, it does have an impact if you lose him as a coordinator. But so now Nagy's on the hot seat. And what does he do? He's got no faith in Trubisky to take that game to the next level. He didn't see anything good from, at least positive for him. And so he goes out and he brings in DiFilippo and he brings in Nick Foles. And, it's going to be an open competition, sure, but no, probably not. So I'll take Foles. I actually, in Scott Fishbowl, I said, screw it, man. I just wasted another pick and took Trubisky also. Just to err on the side of caution, but yeah, I don't plan on using him at all. He'll be an easy drop a couple of weeks into the season when Foles is kind of in a groove.
Yeah. I was trying to stretch and get Foles as my third quarterback, and my division just went super running back early, so I ended up reaching and took Stafford third after getting Mahomes, and then throwing caution way out the window and taking Fournette as my first running back. And there wasn't really much left, though, that I liked at least. So, we'll see how it works. But all right, so let's
you sounded so much more positive about your team on Twitter.
I like my team a lot.
Am I following the wrong guy?
No, I like my team a lot. I just, heavy early on the quarterbacks, and then I got my receivers that I wanted. I wanted Galladay to team up with Stafford, and then wanted Allen Robinson too. And I got both of them. So we'll talk about those guys here in a little bit. But let's start with the running backs. Joe, what do we got?
Yeah. So running back ADP here. We've got Dalvin Cook leading the way at number 5, Aaron Jones, number 10, David Montgomery, big gap here between these guys here. So David Montgomery's at 25, then Swift at 29, Kerryon Johnson 34, Tariq Cohen at 46, Jamal Williams at 50, and then just because A.J. Dillon 58. So Dalvin Cook leading the way here. Obviously, I mean, he was well on his way finishing his RB2 last year, then got hurt for the last couple of games and got passed by Derrick Henry. Or was it Aaron Jones? Both maybe. I mean, he's still yet to finish a season. All 16 games. He's never done it. It's getting close. I mean, the number 5 running back's pretty heavy cost. I mean, are we making a mistake at drafting him and he's got this injury history?
I cannot not draft Dalvin Cook. He falls to me, I'm scooping him up. It's a matter of, I mean, you have to grab Madison. Listen, I think Dalvin Cook's talent is absolutely phenomenal, and he puts in a healthy season. That's great. That's the best. That's best case scenario. That's, the warm fuzzy blanket as you're like, coming in from the cold shivering, and, you're just like, right in front of the fire. That's the security that Dalvin Cook gives you. But for the same token, also, you're investing in the team's ground game. You're investing in the Vikings. Mm-hmm. So if you do have those concerns about Dalvin Cook, which perfectly justified, I'm not going to tell you not to be wary of it. I'll still take him everywhere he drops to me. Totally fine with that. To me, he's the number 4, guy that you're drafting. That's, where I'm like, boom, I'm in on him. I'm very happy with him. You just have to be smart and take Madison also, because again, it's just, you're investing in the system, and you look at the numbers from Minnesota. You just look at the numbers from where Kubiak and Dennison, when they did it in Denver with guys like Reuben Drones and Orlandis Gary. They put Arian Foster on the map. Before Arian Foster, it was Steve Slayton. I mean, the names are horrifying, but these guys are like, all of a sudden they're 1,000-yard rushers. We saw what Dalvin did last year. If you were able to handcuff him, or at least give yourself enough depth at the position that it didn't screw you over in the playoffs, he carried your regular season.
he tried to screw me over in the playoffs. It didn't quite work. Right, AJ. little dig at AJ because I beat him in the finals.
Yes.
And I did totally
it
mess
did
up.
not
I
work.
actually left Madison off the ADP. He's at 44. So, you're going to have to take him. His overall is not here. Where is it?
Fucking Mike Boone.
I want to say it. My computer's not working right now. His overall is 112. So I mean, you're not having to pay a super heavy price for him, honestly. But yeah, he is pretty much like a must pick up if you got Cook. So yeah, I'm with you though. I asked the questions the way I do just to strike up the conversations. It's not that I totally agree with what the question and the way I ask it. Cook's an absolute grab there, past the first three running backs for me. Zeke, Saquon, and McCaffrey. He's a monster. And again, like you said, I mean, that team's gonna run the ball. We know Kirk Cousins is basically the game manager at this point on that offense, and they're gonna run through Cook. Madison's gonna get his a little bit too, but that's Cook's offense, and hopefully he just he can stay healthy. If he gets hurt, maybe it'll be in the middle of the season this year and not at the end. That'd be a little bit nicer for Fitz.
But he just doesn't get hurt, Joe.
That'd be really good too. Yeah,
Play all 16 games. What a concept.
You don't have to negotiate it. Just don't get hurt. Don't. Doesn't matter where you get hurt. No, just don't get hurt. Thank you.
That'd be good too. So. All right, moving on.
All right. So Mr. Jones here, the old Counting Crows guy, scored the ridiculous 19 total touchdowns. Finished RB2 overall. So should we be drafting him earlier, or is there too much regression risk here with these touchdown numbers?
The touchdown numbers are a little on the insane side. They definitely are. But I mean, he was a receiving threat. He was a rushing threat. So that I'm not going to undersell him. There are a couple of knocks that you can put on him, saying that they're going to throw in Jamal Williams at certain points. A.J. Dillon is going to poach short yardage and goal line carries, and all of a sudden he's going to be, that bulldog kind of guy who plows through. But again, you also have to remember that they didn't get any added weapons. I mean, A.J. Dillon's a weapon. Sure, you can poach touchdowns there, but this is still a run-first scheme that Matt LaFleur wants to continue using. And he's going to have to do it. He saw what happened when he gave Aaron Jones the volume last year. I think that continues. I really do. But I mean, obviously you can't sit there and count on, numbers like that, for the same token, it's, obvious regression to the mean. Is Leonard Fournette going to have 2 touchdowns this year? No, he's going to have more than 2 touchdowns. Even if he gets, 6, 7 touchdowns, it's a regression there. So I think that, you get a little pullback, but I don't mind taking him, mid-second round. I'm okay with that. That's fine with me. He's not a first rounder. And he's borderline in that early part of the second round for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I was you kind of hit on the AJ Dillon thing. I kind of wonder how much that's really going to affect him. Like, we don't know, and especially with the lack of training camps and no preseason games, you wonder how much they're going to use Dillon. But I mean, if it really is just going to be like goal line work, then you don't really have to practice for that, I feel like. So Dillon's going to be good there.
I keep snaking him in late in drafts, in these best ball drafts. I'm like, screw it. You know what? He's going to have that game where he's going to be like, 18 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Just something horrible like
Jonas Gray.
Oh man, good pull.
That's
very good.
What it'll be. He's going to have like 3 Jonas Gray games, and then that's it. I mean, just to follow up on that too. I mean, you talked about Williams, and I mean, I've been a fan of Jamal Williams. I like his game, and he's always had some kind of standalone value within that offense. Not as much last year because Jones just literally ran with the volume, but I've seen things saying that he might be a cut candidate. I mean, are you buying into that at all? Or do you think they got to keep him on the roster?
I think they've got to kind of keep him on the roster. You always want running back depth. You want a guy who knows the system. If there's a rumor, though, that they're thinking about cutting him, he just might not be the type of guy that LaFleur likes or wants to have. You see that all the time with coaches. We saw it with Kingsbury. He was like, David Johnson is not my guy. I didn't bring him in. Adam Gase with Le'Veon Bell. I didn't want him. And that's going to actually reflect in the guy's touches. So if there is a rumor, it's possible they do that there might be a rift, and they do believe that Dillon can fill that side role. I think if they got rid of Jamal Williams, that would uptick Aaron Jones a little bit more for me. I would actually be a little bit more intrigued with him then.
Yeah, I would too. Williams gets a good bit of work. People don't realize that. He does do a lot, and he catches some passes in the backfield too. So I'd be shocked if they get rid of him just because he does catch, some passes and things like that too, which Dillon isn't really known for. I really don't think Dillon's going to take over that role anywhere close to that. So, all right, moving on here to the Bears. Oh, Mr. David Montgomery, what do we do with you? I mean, this guy gets a ton of usage, 242 carries last year. I think he had like 35 targets and like 25 catches, so nothing crazy there. But, I mean, just the volume rushing is pretty incredible. Yet he had 889 yards rushing. I mean, that's not good. I mean, an ADP at 25, though, not expensive. For a guy who's going to get that much work, are you willing to take a chance at that ADP value?
Oh, I'm going to die on Montgomery Hill. I'm serious. I believe in this kid. I think he's a great talent. I think Nagy continues to misuse him. He likes doing all the pre-snap motion and the razzle-dazzle and the trickery and, all the gimmicky stuff, and he gets Tariq Cohen involved so much. I mean, if you look at the games where he gave Montgomery just volume, 20 carries in a game. Bears won. I don't really understand why Nagy feels like he's got to keep mixing it up. So I think, to me, I'll die on this hill because if they don't utilize Montgomery properly this year, Nagy's gone. I mean, that's fact. If they don't utilize him the way he should be utilized, if they don't run the offense with a nice run-first scheme and let things open up the passing game from there, then I don't know what to tell anybody in Chicago. Pack it in and just be a waste. So if they don't use him properly the way he should be used, Nagy's gone at the end of the year, and I think Nagy really wants to salvage his job. So I love David Montgomery, guys.
He was phenomenal. Like when he came out of college, I thought he was going to be phenomenal, and just hit this horrible offense for him. It seems like. So I'm hoping, and I'll take him at his ADP. That's an RB3 price for me. Yeah. Where he's going. So if I can get him as my RB3, absolutely all day, every day. So,
yeah. Right now I don't have him on any of my teams, and I wish that I did, because every time I'm looking, I'm like, all right, I like him. This could be the spot. And I'm like, well, here's somebody else that I like better, or think that I like better. And it's just weighing on me for what he's done. And it's not his fault. So.
Oh, these guys have that, but they have that point where you're like, this is a make it or break it year for them. Yeah. And, if Montgomery gets misused again and you get suckered in, then you're like, this dude's a bust. I'm never going to go back. Yeah. If he has a great year, then you're like, finally, I knew he could do it. Now let's move forward. So, I think Montgomery's he's at those crossroads this season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So last question here. The Lions again. I mean, do you even want to own either of these running backs?
Funny enough, no, I really don't. Like, it's just, I know what they want to do with Swift. Again, this is, Darrell Bevell is good, solid coach about, sticking with the run, and then all of a sudden he doesn't. And I don't really get it. It's, very, very odd how he does this. And, I think they were too reliant on Stafford last year. So, I think they need to give one of these guys the workload. But I mean, you can't trust Kerryon Johnson coming back from the knee, and you can't trust that, it's not going to be, kind of just a 50-50 share with DeAndre Swift. You figure Swift is supposed to win this job outright. So if I have to draft, if I'm like sitting there and it's like, 5th, 6th round, and I, went wide receiver heavy with like my first 3 picks or something, then I'll probably grab like DeAndre Swift, try and cuff him to carry on later. I will not feel good about it. I will need a shower afterwards, and I'll hate myself if either one of them wins a game for me at any point during the season.
Just to preface, I was talking Bo Scarborough and Ty Johnson, but we'll go
the
with
best waiver pickups all time last year, right? Who blew?
Everyone did.
Raise your hand if you blew money on Ty Johnson last year. Come on. We're all guilty of it.
I wanted to blow money on Scarborough, but somebody blew more than I had. I'm like, oh, all right, well, I guess I can't do much there.
Yeah, I liked Swift coming out of college a lot. I had him as a couple of times. I had him as my number 1 running back coming out. Talent wise, I like what he does. The landing spot's just terrible, unfortunately, and like the hype of the draft and everything else, and like the college player had his ranking fairly high for me early on, and then it's slowly dropping. So I'm kind of coming off of it and like realizing, no, it's the Lions. I'm not. I don't want anything to do with this running game. So I just, they got to prove it to me at this point. I mean, I've liked Kerryon Johnson for a couple of years, and it's failed me miserably. So I mean, granted, he's been hurt, but even when he's in there, he's just kind of like whatever, like not anything exciting. So I need to see a running back produce in this offense before I'm going to buy back into it, I think. So,
yep.
Yep. All right. So let's move on here to the wide receivers. So Devontae Adams, number 2, Kenny Golladay, number 7, Allen Robinson, 10, Adam Thielen, 11, Marvin Jones, 40, Justin Jefferson, 54, Anthony Miller, 56. And then we've got Lazard at 64, Funchess at 82, and Amendola all the way 89. So got some deep guys there, but there's a lot of receivers here that in this division that you can rely on at some point in the season, even some of these later guys. Start off with the Packers again. I mean, as you said, they didn't draft anybody. I know they brought in Funchess, but I mean, yeah. It's Evan Funchess, so I don't think anybody cares there. I mean, is Adams looking at another 10+ target average season, or are we even thinking that Funchess or maybe the emergence of Lazard is gonna take away from that?
No, I think they'll force feed Devontae Adams every step of the way they can. I think Lazard is the guy on the other side of the field for him. I think that there was a good connection between Rodgers and Lazard. And, I feel like you bring in a guy like Funchess who, I mean, what is his game? What type of receiver is he really? Is he going to fit, with Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Stuck in his ways, who throws to the guys that he likes? So, I think that if you're looking for a secondary wide receiver opposite Adams, Lazard is the way to go over Funchess, because then I also think, and not to skip ahead to tight ends real quick, but if they do run Sternberger out of the slot like they're talking about doing, we saw LaFleur do a little bit of that with Delaney Walker and Jonnu Smith over in Tennessee. So if he actually does go through with that and Sternberger stays healthy and runs him out of the slot, that could be your number 3 target guy in this offensive scheme.
Yeah, I like Lazard.
Interesting.
I definitely think he's got plenty of upside there. And it's still just dumbfounding to me with how talented this wide receiver class was. And they just Jordan Love. We need a quarterback, guys. Hello. I mean, we've done it before. This is our thing. We bring in the new young guy to piss off the guy that's been here forever, won us a Super Bowl. So let's do that again. Forget the wide receivers. But no, I like Lazard.
Sense.
Yeah. I like Lazard to get to really kind of step in here, and even the other guys they have there with MSV and St. Brown, they're good guys. I mean, they're role players, and they can get open. They can do what they need to do. They just kind of didn't get fed the ball at all last year. So, Adams was getting everything. So maybe they step up a little bit, but we'll see. So, all right, let's move into Detroit here. We're not leaving them last this time, probably because of the ADP here. Kenny Galladay, my boy, scored 11 touchdowns last year. Again, he was on pace for 14 with Stafford. That's obviously driving his higher ADP here, but should we be worried about him at all, that he's not going to come close to these numbers and returns, more to like a wide receiver 2 value?
No, I think he's established himself as the number one in this offense. I think that, Marvin Jones gets the work, that he does get. And there are weeks that you're like, holy cow, I can't believe what Marvin Jones is doing here. But Galladay is still the primary guy over there. And he's Stafford's main look when he's, looking into the red zone. And I'm perfectly fine with Galladay. I think that he's established himself enough that, he's not at that upper tier where you're talking, with guys like Adams and Thomas and Julio Jones and Tyreek Hill. But I mean, if you're sitting there and it's the late second round and you had an early pick and you went running back, like I'd be fine with Galladay as my number one, with the way everything else looks.
All right.
Thoughts, Joe? big fan of Galladay. I do think a lot of his value is going to come from touchdowns. He doesn't seem to be like the big target hog that like an Adams, but I mean, that's already kind of baked into the ADP. I don't think I have him 7. I think I have him just maybe a spot or 2 below that, but it's still pretty high. So yeah, I'm fine with him in that range. Another guy though that I am higher on than most, but his ADP isn't where mine would be. Allen Robinson. I mean, he saw a crazy 154 targets last year. That obviously helped him finish as wide receiver 11 in half PPR. You said it too. Foles absolutely should be the guy. I mean, how much, like, his catch percentage rate was like 60% or maybe just slightly below. It was bad. Foles has got to increase that. So, I mean, how much does that help Allen Robinson, surpass and even an ADP of 10 at this point?
Oh, I love Robinson. I'm in on him. Adam Ronis and I sit and talk about Allen Robinson all the time because we're looking at that same area there, that late second round, where a lot of people are taking Kenny Galladay and they're to me, they're kind of overlooking Robinson. I mean, yeah, the volume that he's going to get is going to be, fantastic again, because I mean, you look at, where are the other targets going on that team. And so Robinson's going to get that volume. He's getting a better quarterback and the team really needs to win games. So, I think that he's in a fantastic spot. I probably would take, if given the choice between Galladay and Robinson, I actually might tilt towards Robinson.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I've got Robinson 6 in my rankings, half PPR. He's up there.
Yeah, I think we have him like 7th at Fantasy Alarm.
Yeah, a lot of people I know who I've talked to have him higher than the ADP. So the ADP has not caught up yet. I'm assuming it will eventually.
Oh, you don't want it to. No, let them overlook.
No, I'm fine with if it doesn't, but I'm sure it will because they listen to stuff like this. It's gonna come out. So, you mentioned like who else is going to catch the ball, and we got a question on Periscope about Anthony Miller. They were just wondering about him. So he kind of came on strong the later half of the season. I mean, any thought that he could take away some of those targets and really kind of, diminish Robinson's, value, at least where you and I have him?
No, I don't think. See, that's the thing, is that I don't think that the presence of Anthony Miller and the ability of him is gonna take anything away. I think what we've seen as far as the structure goes on that team, when they had Taylor Gabriel, I mean, look what happened. Taylor Gabriel went down with the concussion, and all of a sudden it was just Miller and Robinson, and they both ate. They both ate a ton. So. I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, what they do, they brought in Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn's going to, take the outside. They're going to run Anthony Miller out of the slot. He's going to be a fantastic red zone target.
He's going
to have some touchdowns there. I love him and Robinson. It's amazing. It's amazing how bullish I am on the Bears when I probably really shouldn't be.
I know.
Because I hate Nagy. Like, it's like, when the coach grinds your gears so much, but that there's that talent that's there on the team.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, man. Like the team's not very good offensively, but like you buy into their top end talent. Because the ADP I think is lower than it should be for these guys. So you're getting a value on them, and that's what's gonna get me to have a lot of shares of the Bears this season. Probably to the detriment of my fantasy team, but oh well.
Mine too. I'll be down. I'll be down at the bottom of the hill.
We'll have a couple beers to commiserate after the end of the season together.
Yeah, I mean, Miller had not a lot going on, early in the season. His best game was week 5, right before the bye, where he had 7 targets.
Right. I mean, he was coming back off of that shoulder surgery. So, slow start, definitely to be expected.
Yeah.
Look at me getting all defensive on Miller.
Exactly.
What are you trying to say?
You shut
Anthony?
your mouth about him.
You better not say that again. I swear to I will turn this podcast around. Take you out.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, from there he had 7, then 9, and then 3, but all 3 of them he caught for 67 yards. I'm a big fan of Miller's. I think that he's definitely somebody I'm trying to target and have targeted later on because people just forget about him, it seems like. And he's a talented guy. Had 2 games, 140 yards in week 13 against the Lions. 118 against the Packers in week 15. I mean, that's good production, especially in a DFS. Both games 9 receptions, so huge.
That's with Trubisky, so you can only imagine.
Yeah, if Mitch Trubisky can get you 140 yards, I mean, that's amazing. So living up to his billing there.
Shit on Mitch Trubisky show. So all right, let's move on.
Oh, poor Mitch.
So last but not least, we got old man Thielen here. I mean, now he finally gets to be the lead dog. He doesn't have to worry about Diggs chirping in Cousins' ear about targets and whatever else, but can Thielen really even handle a full season?
Yeah, I think he can. I'm not looking at Thielen as being a guy who I'm like too concerned about as far as the injury bug goes. I mean, listen, you're gonna have to. You're gonna be worried about people coughing in each other's faces all year. Forget about forget about a finger injury or anything like that. I mean, you're like, I'll take the hamstring. Well, hamstring, not the COVID. Okay, good. So, I mean, listen, I think that Thielen's going to see great volume. He's not a big play guy. He's not a deep threat. He can, if they run him on the right route, that he can probably break one for, 35, 40 yards. But I mean, that's not him. He's your guy you want for PPR, and that you just hope that, the touchdowns continuously rack up as well, because there really aren't very many other receiving targets over there. I mean, Irv Smith, Justin Jefferson's there, BC Johnson. Blah.
Yeah, not.
Cordell Patterson still there? Huh? Is
No.
Cordell there?
Cordarrelle's in Chicago.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
All the DFS lineups he ruined for me. Jeez. Atrocious.
Yeah, Thielen's gonna be a target hog, and so PPR leagues he'll be a monster. Every other, he gets dropped down for sure in other formats. I do kind of worry that like he's not gonna really be like a true wide receiver 1 as consistent as you hope, just because he doesn't seem like a big downfield target for them. He's kind of underneath guy, but Yeah, I mean, it's like an Edelman type of receiver one. It's going to work in PPR, so you're fine with it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's really the role that he's going to take on, I think. My beef with him is that he always is injured for the damn fantasy playoffs.
Or he just fades away.
He sucks. Yeah, or he's there and he's like, yeah, I don't really feel like playing today, guys. Just throw it to somebody else. Diggs was bitching 15, last week. 16. Just get it to him finally. Yeah. It's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I just.
Well, you guys need a therapy session here, right?
Dude, I've known multiple years where he just tore it up in the regular season, and then come fantasy playoff times, it's like he just disappears. I have no idea. It is insane what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think I only put up with it for 1 year, and I was like, okay, that's good. So
I had to deal with it for longer.
I was like, you remember, what was it, 2014 Andrew Luck? Was that the year that he just dominated all season long? And then it was like week 14, and you were like, where'd he go?
Yeah.
He literally just threw for fewer than 200 yards.
I didn't think it was possible. All right. So let's get into these tight ends here.
So, all right, finish things off here. Tight end position. TJ Hawkinson, 15. Kyle Rudolph, 21. Irv Smith, 24. Your boy Jay Sternberger, 29. And then the corpse of Jimmy Graham at 33. To put it mildly, the tight end position is pretty bleak for this division. I mean, Hawkinson's leading the way as kind of an up-and-comer. People are hoping he can take that next step. But if the only way you're taking Hawkinson, I think, as your tight end one is if you're one of those, I'm just sitting and waiting on tight end.
Yeah.
But is he the guy you want, or is there somebody else there that you're looking at and going, I'd much rather have this guy?
Listen, if we're just, we can just sit right here in the NFC North for that. I mean, if I'm going to wait and go for a guy like Hawkinson, then I might as well just sit and wait and punt the position altogether and grab a pair of like Sternberger and Graham. Listen, Hawkinson's never going to be a heavily targeted guy. I mean, it's just the way that offensive scheme goes. And you've got two dominant receivers in Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. So you're not really gonna, they're not lining them up that way. I mean, tight ends who line up in the slot. That's what you want. You want guys who line up in the slot for fantasy purposes. And Hawkinson's just not that guy. So, I look at it and I say, all right, Sternberger is a guy who they're saying they're going to run out of the slot for Green Bay. They're in dire need of somebody to step up and take those targets. What was the last time that, Rodgers had a tight end was like Bubba Franks or something like that. Right. So if that's a possibility, I mean, listen, when they were using Randall Cobb out of the slot all the time, he was like bread and butter for Aaron Rodgers. So maybe there's a chance that Sternberger can step up. I'd rather try that upside than hope again that TJ Hawkinson will, not be concussed and he'll be worked into the passing game more. As far as Jimmy Graham goes, listen, he's the thing that's working in Graham's favor is, the way they want to run this offense out of in Chicago. And they're going to utilize, Nagy wants that pass catching tight end. He wants a tight end who can run routes. He's got guys who he can, sit and block. That's Cole Kmet's going to learn how to block. Adam Shaheen's going to learn how to block. Jimmy Graham's not a blocker. You bring up a guy like Jimmy Graham because you want to deploy him as a receiver. So is Graham, could he be one of those guys who ends up with like 400 receiving yards on the season, but he's got 6 touchdowns? Yeah, I mean, I think that he has that, capability of being a red zone threat for them at that point. Again, for next to nothing. If you're going to wait on the position, is there really that much difference between Hawkinson and Jimmy Graham from what we've seen on the field from either of these guys? I mean, no, it's, so you might as well just kind of stick with it. And then you've got the pair in Minnesota. Irv Smith is the deep dive. That's the sneaky one that people are looking at. But I mean, you can't discount Kyle Rudolph because they still gave him that big ass contract extension last year. Couldn't even believe they extended him like 3 or 4 year deal. So he's going to get some playing time. He's not really going to get, a whole world of looks though in the passing game though.
He scores touchdowns though. So it's super touchdown dependent, but hey, the weeks that he scores touchdowns, you're sold. You're solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, this probably isn't where I'm looking to go tight end at all. But yeah, if you are waiting, Hawkins is probably not a target of mine. There's some guys around him, like I like Gesicki, a couple spots above him.
Uh-huh.
Even like a Doyle, who I think it could be just a target monster. Jonnu Smith is below them. Herndon's kind of intriguing in New York. So there's guys even below Hawkinson even in my rankings, just because of the way like projections fall and things like that. Like that's where Hawkinson lands, but I don't like it. So he's probably got one of those, like on my personal board, he's got one of those like red marks, like, nah, I'm good. Just pass on him. But there's just a bunch of other guys that I think are going to be more involved with the offense, like you've said, that are going even later than him, that, Hawkinson might have 1 or 2 games that are much bigger, but otherwise you're not getting much. So
yeah, just looking at going back to the Scott Fish Bowl here and looking at your team, I see you grabbed Graham at the 1502. I took Irv Smith at 1502, and Graham, at least in my division, sat forever until 2007, and I was thinking about trying to get him right around that 1920, and had a couple other targets that I went with receiver wise, but for whatever reason my division sat on tight ends, and it was what it was. But I definitely like Graham this year. I think he can provide some upside, especially if you're punting the position altogether. Or if you're even in a tight end premium and you can sit and wait, get one of your big guys early and then build up on other depth and then go after a Graham. So other than that, though, yeah, I'm not really looking at much in this division either. There's so much other talent elsewhere that you can find. Most leagues are one tight end anyway. So,
hey man, you didn't mention my tight end sleeper, man. Dan Arnold. Hell yeah. 21.03.
He was sitting there. I almost grabbed him. I could have taken him with one of my last 2 picks. There's another, our boy Logan Thomas.
No.
VT Pride. I'm telling you, man.
I'll endorse. I'll go with the Dan Arnold call there. Dan Arnold was it 2 years ago? I think he won me single-handedly, like $800 more in a GPP.
Nice,
because he had one of those touchdown games where you're just like, I'm punting the position, so I'm just gonna try and deal with this. So. So I got a soft spot in my heart for Dan Arnold. I'll never draft him, though. Sorry.
Logan Thomas is because of this, by the way. We are both Hokies. So he's got us. We've both got soft spots for Logan Thomas, but no, I can't. Logan Thomas has literally done nothing in the entire, the NFL. I'm not buying into the fact he's going to have, all of a sudden his career is going to launch in Washington.
Especially when you're talking
TBD.
when you're taking like a deep dive like that. Bob from accounting, who just joined the Fantasy Football Office League, it's a 10-teamer, and he's like, this guy's talking about Logan Thomas. What am I missing about Logan Thomas? All right, I'll drop this guy here. Who is this? Oh, Hunter Henry. Yeah. He put up a 0 last week, so I'll get this guy Logan Thomas for him that this guy keeps talking about.
Exactly. I'm throwing everybody off of the scent of the guys that I really, really like. Here's the guy you should be doing.
Bob from accounting's got the worst 10-team league you've seen. It's horrible.
It's all AJ's fault.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, Bob. I'm still pulling for you, buddy.
That's all we've got for the show. Howard, I want to thank you again for coming on. A good time as always, good laughs. Tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter and all that good stuff, and what you guys got in store for the site?
So Twitter, I'm at RotoBuzzGuy. You can find me all over fantasyalarm.com. You can hear me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. I got a fantasy baseball and a fantasy football article in the New York Post that you can check out every weekend. I think that's about it. You can find me here in Half Moon Bay, California if you come in for a visit.
All right.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. Always a pleasure to talk sports with you.
Yeah, great to talk with you guys again, and we'll see you in this year's Pie Bet, whatever version that's going to be.
Hell yeah, man! I'm looking forward to it.
You posted. I want to do all season. I want to do it all season this year. And
it sounds like a fetish. That doesn't
pies.
sound like a bet.
Oh no.
Well, I have been known to be compared to Jason Biggs back in my younger days.
Where are the
Pre-mustache.
pies? Oh, the pies.
Give me all the pies, man. Just give me.
Is that custard? Oh my god!
I don't even need to bet. I don't need to bet. Just toss me the pie. You in the alley.
AJ you in the alley.
AJ tries to lose.
You coming out of that diner? All right. Bring me some of that apple.
Just bring me a piece of pie.
AJ picks Logan Thomas every week because he wants to lose.
I'm gonna hit
right.
one of these weeks, guys. I'll just take continuous pictures of me just still wearing pies from week 1 through 14.
Jeff,
And
you've
week
got to
50
like
finally hit
this last part. We've got to share this on Twitter. This is hilarious.
Oh, were we gone already? I thought we were still live.
We are still alive. But I'm just
Okay,
saying,
good.
We're still alive.
gotta like clip this and share this directly. Oh man. All right. Well, let's close it out.
Special.
Again, Howard, thanks for coming on. We'll do it again soon, hopefully.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care.
Stay safe.
All right, Anthony Applegarth. I'm just reading your name on because you put Anthony on there. It's funny. I don't ever call you Anthony.
I don't ever call me Anthony.
I don't. So why do you have your Skype name as Anthony?
Because it's my first name. If it says first name, I type in my first name. I can't put AJ. It's not my first name. It's my first and middle initial.
My first name is Joseph. I'm not putting Joseph. I'm putting Joe.
It's different, dude. It's different.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna keep calling you Anthony. It's cool. All right. That's all we got. Next week we've got the NFC South. I believe we've got Justin Boone on. So tune in next week. Same
queue.
time.
Get in the hook.
I know, man. Peace.